walking on sand and holding your hand. Feel like a tourist in my own homeland, in my own homeland. Enjoying the bright, the warm sunlight. Oh my God, what a beautiful sight in my own homeland. This place is so nice, wanna do everything twice. Yes, I feel as if I'm in the paradise. No matter the season, you've got every reason. This place is another little heaven. East or west, I couldn't care less. Ooh, this place, it is definitely blessed.
Greetings, kings and queens. Welcome to another Real Stuff podcast. Today is Wednesday, and when it's Wednesday, it's our Caribbean music legend. Our Caribbean music legend this morning is none other than Mr. John King. And John King will be joining us this morning, and we're going to have a chit-chat or a chat session, I would say. So in the meantime, stick and stay. If you got to get your tea, your coffee, whatever beverage that you consume this time of the morning, run, go get it. Because guess what? I'm going to be returning with my podcasting team, and we're going to go right into it. Top of the morning, crew. Top of the morning. Welcome to another Real Stuff podcast.
Top of the morning.
How you all doing this morning?
Great, man.
All right. Some of you sound like you just wake up. How you all doing this morning?
Yeah, doing okay. Doing quite well.
Come on. It seems like never gonna get up pounding now, you know.
up, yeah.
Up pounder, you know. But anyway, gents, welcome again, and welcome our viewers in YouTube chat room this morning. Welcome to another Real Stuff podcast. I have my podcasting team with me this morning. I got Flavius, I got Courtney, Max Juanette, and Francine is not here yet. And also I have Errol Bean. I can't remember what title Errol is under right now. But I know it has something to do with some relationship communication. Am I on the right floor?
I think you said to
recording in progress.
Serve as the relationship consultant.
There you go, consultant, relationship consultant. So Errol is here with us this morning as well, and I'm going to just get right into it before we're bringing our guests. And I'm going to ask you what's happening in your neck of the woods. I'm going to ask you first, Errol, because I know your neck of the woods should be interesting this morning. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
Okay, thank you. As I always try to give one or two main items in the news, national news, and not so much party political news, but anything that affects the nation. One of the main items that has come back on the front page is with respect to the status of the former Minister of Education. And he was under suspicion of allegedly some kind of fraud or some financial dealings, and that is not settled. So he's not been found guilty. We say that. So the podcast is not saying that he's guilty, but he's under investigation, and his lawyers even tried to get the case to be judged as unconstitutional. That being said, though, why is it back in the news? A couple of weeks ago, one of the leading newspapers in Jamaica reported that the said former minister, who is on secondment from one of our top local secondary or high schools, is on secondment. And normally secondment goes for 2 or 3 years, and he is being paid a certain sum in millions. And so the opposition, our national opposition in the House Representative, have tabled some questions with respect to where he is being paid from and all that. The last thing I would say with respect to that, I understand that he has reportedly from the news requested further extension of his secondment until 2026, if I am correct. So then the top news with respect to the national news is where is that the state, what is the status of the former Minister of Education and of course some other persons who are aligned with him in that debacle. Basically, that is what I would say. And of course, as Flavors would say, the sun is shining where I am, and I hope that it will continue to shine. So I must put this in. I got my second vaccine. My family now has been fully vaccinated. I had a little sluggishness yesterday, but thank God I exercised, as my sisters informed me to do, and I'm feeling much better, so I could appear with you this morning. Thank you.
All right, safe health. Flavius, since you're down there in Jamaica as well, what's happening in your neck of the woods? I can't hear you, Flavius. Come on, Flavius, talk to me.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm here.
What's happening in your neck of the woods?
My mic was muted.
Okay.
Yeah, we are a little bleak this morning, but I see the sun peeping through, peeping through. But what Errol said was one item of news. There's another item of news. Well, there are two other items of news. One is that there was an item before that Errol spoke about yesterday where the Minister of Science and Technology got back his US visa. But the previous US ambassador came out and said that the reason why the visa was withdrawn before was by mistakes that his office made. And he's trying to correct that now. So we'll listen and hear what happens after that. But he has a basic visa now, B1, B2, so he can travel to the US if he so desire. And still staying with him, yesterday he spoke about hotspots around the country. And he's saying that it's what, 189 that is to be put up. And they are actively working on that now. And they're also setting up a schools fiber network. So in three different categories. So in short order, he's saying by the end of this financial year, which is in March, internet should be at least in all schools. And it's going to be on one network so they can monitor what is being used and what is, being looked at and all that over the internet. So we are hoping then that is real, and not just talk. So at least by that time, we should be in a better position, our access to internet, especially with the schools. That's very, very critical at this point. Because right now we have no face-to-face classes, and online classes is not going well, not overwhelming for the island. So that would solve that problem.
All right, thank you. Courtney, what's happening in your neck of the woods, sir?
Well, just the usual weather situation, quite chilly and cold at 73 degrees. But it should be warming up a little bit later. And just something that in the news just strike my eyes, about 175 employees at a North Carolina hospital has been fired for not following the COVID-19 vaccination rules. So we see that, this COVID-19 vaccination is going to be a mandatory thing all over the world.
Yes.
And in most workplaces.
Absolutely, because so far the same thing is happening in Florida, where 500 nurses from a hospital in Florida have also been fired because they are the ones who are not going to be not going to take the vaccine. Also, New York, there's a lot of a problem going on in New York as well, where hospital workers, nurses, doctors, even firefighters, federal employees, a lot of them, even airline, because right now this morning on the news, there's like between 42,000 airline employees are not vaccinated. So, I mean, people going to be losing their jobs. I know tomorrow also in a small little nursing home up in Connecticut, we have a family member working. It is also going to be, either or either. It's either you're vaccinated or you quit. Simple as that.
Stay home.
So it's not looking good on the front for a lot of frontline workers,
Yes, Franco, would like to comment on that point when you are through.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is very important because some of the persons who are resistant or anti-vaxxers from a religious point of view, they point to what is said to be the idea that when the world gets to a certain stage, this so-called man of sin, the Antichrist, the 666, all of those things are with respect to that there will come a time when to trade and to do business, you'll have to get what is called the mark of the beast or a stamp. Some, let's say, in modern context, a digital stamp on your body, whether in your skin or on your wherever. We know that the technology exists already, and there are some companies that they can put this in you, and you just look or you just put your fingerprint and everything comes up on you. I am not here saying the Real Stuff podcast is saying this is a fulfillment, nor am I saying I say this is it. But part of the narrative is that people are pointing to this as part of the reason why it is happening. Whether it is fulfillment of prophecy, I do not know. Whether it is going to happen in that way, I do not know. But that is part of the reason why some people are against the vaccination. But the question is, if that is what is happening, how are you going to resist it forever? So we don't know. We wait and see. Thank you.
All right, Errol. I understand that part of it too as well. From a religious point of view, and some is also on a medical point of view from some people who refuse to take it. They have medical point of view as well. So let's throw that in as well.
Thank you.
So I can see that our guest is in the room with us. I don't see his microphone on as yet, so let me send him a text.
He's connecting.
So in the meantime, before I bring him in, I'm just gonna send some shout out to some friends of mine who are tomorrow is the deadline for them. On the front line, they are frontline workers, and I cannot appeal to them, but the only thing I can say is that, you do what you have to do, in order, whether it's for survival or whatever. And my prayers are with you all, so hope that everything work out, because I know these people have been working for over 20 odd years in these institutions. And for them to just walk away just like that because of, not being vaccinated, it's going to be hard on them. I know. And there's some states where, workers, are battling it out in court. And some governor are suing the White House. So, there's a whole other thing going on. But let's watch and see what happens. Because what can we do? We have to just wait and see what happens. So in the meantime, I'm just going to, play this song, and then we're going to bring in our guest this morning. Mr. John King, and we're gonna have we call it a spirited discussion. All right. Let's.
We're gonna dance the night away. Ooh, we're gonna dance, lady, lady. Ooh. Hey! Put on your dancing shoes. Tonight we going and party. Party all night long. There's no time to lose. A feeling to jam with my lady. Yeah. Oh, working hard every day. Never finding time to play. Just ain't easy. It ain't easy. Tonight we going out in style. If only for a little while. Let's go, baby. Call your mother, do. Make she to keep the children. Hey. All night long. These few hours for me and you to enjoy a little.
And so I'm going to ask Flavius to do the honors this morning to welcome our guest, none other than Mr. John King. Flavius, could you do the honors for us this morning?
Sure. Good morning all. Today we welcome Mr. John King, musician, calypsonian, now politician out of Barbados.
Good morning, and thank you very much.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to the Real Stuff Podcast. What's happening over there in your neck of the woods? What's going on in Barbados?
Well, we're grappling with rising numbers, COVID-19 cases.
Mm-hmm.
That is a matter of concern, and I couldn't help but listen to your earlier conversation about trying to get people to take the vaccine and different things like this, which would help with this particular situation. So it's really a bit of a struggle, but I think it's one that we have no choice but to win. And it's really now up to all of us to get out there and to encourage as many people as humanly possible to get the vaccines. And if you're not going to get the vaccines, well, do the things that you need to do. Because I think a lot of it has stemmed from people becoming very relaxed about COVID-19, and so they're going into their homes and with their friends and not using the precautions, the social distancing, the sanitizing and stuff like that, and that's where we're having a major problem right now. So it's really for people just to be a little bit cognizant and a little bit more, I say, responsible as your neighbor's keeper, so to speak.
True. All right. So that's good, advice. So for someone like myself who don't know much about John King, and the question I'm going to ask, who is John King musically?
Okay, well, John King is a bit of an enigma, because John King is a person who has never believed that he has to be put into any box. You realize that my music does not reflect just a soca artist, a reggae artist, a jazz artist, R&B artist. It's none of those things. I'm a singer-songwriter. And I've approached my career in that fashion for over 30 years. I started out as a young man, 18 years old, getting into calypso because that is what was available at that particular time to get me onto a stage. But as a child, my parents, I was actually born in England, and my parents would have introduced me to music that I still love to listen to today. So you talk about the great crooners like Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra, and that's the kind of stuff that I would have grown up on. And so what I tried to do in my own music is to use the elements of these great vocalists, male vocalists, into my own music and style. And so you would notice that it's not like your typical calypso. If I do a reggae, it's not like your typical reggae. It's a mixture of all of these things, all these influences that I've had over the years. And I think that is the one thing that has been a hallmark of my career, because people could never put me into any box. So that when I travel and I perform, you know, if it's a ballad that you need in between of a set, you get a ballad from me. If you're ready to party, you need a soca song, you get a soca song. And if you want to lay back, I hear some good vibes of reggae, you get that too. So it's never been, you know, as an artist that you could put in a box and say, oh, he's a reggae artist or he's a this. I've always said, look, as a human being, we're not bound by the boundaries we create are the boundaries we put for ourselves. But we don't have any boundaries. Talent is as wide as ever. And I guess for marketing purposes, you'll find that people in other parts of the world segment music. So they say, oh, especially in the United States of America, so we got R&B charts, and then we got world music this, and all of that stuff. But for me, music is just music. And that's who I am.
True. Yeah. All genre music. Before I let anyone else in, I'm going to ask you, when was the last time you do a live performance before COVID kicks in? When was the last time? Can you remember?
Well, I think the last time for me would have been a major performance would have been in 2014. I actually lost my voice around that time in 2014. I believe my doctors, when they looked at my throat, there's no problems in terms of notes, none of those things. His suggestion was that I probably was suffering with acid reflux and rhinitis. And, you know, I said to myself, you know, for so many years, I've been on stage. I've made my living as that. And now that the time has come where I am forced to give it up because, you know, maybe it's overwork, who knows? But I didn't feel that I wanted to go to see, you know, any specialist to see if I need surgery or any of those things. I just felt that it was time for me to move on and to really try to put myself in a position where I can influence policy that goes around the music industry in Barbados and the wider world, having been there. Because a lot of times you find that people who make the policies and the decisions for the music industry are not intricately involved in it.
Exactly.
So musicians need to be at the table so that they can table, and pardon the pun, the real problems. Because oftentimes people think you need this and you need that and you need all of these things, and really actually that's not what you really need.
Yeah.
And the things that you really need go you know, unattended. And so that's why I decided, you know, I call it a day. I had a good run. Like I said, it was on stage from 18 years old. Traveled a lot, played with some of the biggest names in the business over the years. And, you know, but now it's more about what can I do with my experience? How do I help the next generation of musicians, not to be just musicians, but to also be entrepreneurs, so that we don't have these stories that go around the Caribbean on oftentimes that a lot of our fabulous entertainers die, and then we have governments around the place trying to put funerals on and all this thing. And these are the things I really want to see end up.
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned about, you know, that sometimes the people who are making the policies for musicians or entertainers are not really people who have been involved. And I know that in the COVID, the entertainment industry has been hit worldwide. Some countries have passed like stimulus packages to entertainers. Was Barbados able to pass such a such a policy or a stimulus bill?
Very, very early. Very early. What we did, we did it, and it's ongoing. So the first thing we did is that we said, hey, look, we know that a lot of you guys are not working now, but there must be some project that you can come up with that we can actually support the project in the early stages, so that you're not getting a handout. It's not like a welfare grant or anything like that, but that you actually have something tangible, a project that you can do. It serves two purposes. One, you're helping that artist to be entrepreneurial in their approach as to how they begin to deal with what's happening around them, and pointing them into different directions. You know, a lot of our stuff has been done outside of this space that we're in now, this digital space. Mm-hmm. But people in other parts of the world have already gone into the digital space many years ago, prior to COVID, and are now being able to reap the benefits of having made those steps earlier, so that they've created platforms where people are willing to actually pay for their services. So it could be music, it could be digital transfer of artworks, whatever it is, they've been using that space. But we've got to find a way to get our people into that space and to get our buying public to support that. So with the content, you had people who did things like live shows, you had persons who did documentaries and did other things. And what it also did for us is that it gave the Barbadian public a chance to see more of what they've not been seeing on a regular basis of what our Barbadian creatives are doing. So we got that going. And then about a month ago, in my Department of Culture here, we started to also put on a series of concerts, which is going to be ongoing for the musicians. And I always say to people, not because I am a musician, that you will hear me talk about the musicians all the time, but you have the service providers who benefit from, as you guys would know, from putting on the music. So you got stage hands that get a chance to work. You got people who provide staging and other things who get a chance to work. People who are in the film industry who would actually stream and do all these things. So a wide cross section of people are benefiting from those things that we do. And again, the general public had something was there in lockdown that they can stay indoors as families and watch on television. So it's from documentaries to concerts and this sort of thing we've been doing. And it's been working well. Are we reaching everyone or as many people as we would want to? Definitely not. But we're doing the best that we can under the circumstances, bearing in mind that when this government took over in 2018, we were financially strapped at that time, and we were just in rebuilding mode, so to speak. And then in comes COVID, and apart from COVID-19 putting a stall on everything, we've been hit with a hurricane. We've had some other issues with the volcano and stuff. So it's just been one, as the old people would say, one blow up after another, you know. But we're hanging in there and doing the best that we can by our creatives.
Yes, I'm going to hand you over to Errol Bean. Errol is also an entertainer, so I know Errol must have a question for you. Go ahead, Errol.
Hi, Errol.
Thank you. Hi, John. I must confess, I heard some of your music, but I didn't know it was you. I think I'm reflecting Paro when I say I didn't know it was you. In a way, that will resonate with you. And your live music resonates with me well, because as Franco said, I don't regard myself as an entertainer. I have recorded music for over 30 years, like you. I'm a big entertainer, but I have struggled work life, professional work life in education, in finance institution. But I'm really happy to be in the same space with you. I have two questions. I was going to ask you a third one, but you have commented on it with respect to how you use your background and your musical knowledge to help to build the people of Barbados and those we were taught. So that question is answered. Two questions. I take one first. Let me tell you both and then you can answer one, and I remind you of the second one. What has been your source of inspiration for creating music? In other words, I'm not saying whether it's religion or God, whatever, but where are you coming from with your inspiration for your music? Because I notice you cover a wide genre of music. That's what I appreciate about you. And every song you sing, you seem to be a different persona in the song. So where is your inspiration coming from?
And I think I made the point earlier that from my belief system, the human being and the human spirit is much wider than what we try to put it into this small box. And so what I've tried to do in my life is to use my music as a vehicle to bring people together. People from different backgrounds, people from different ethnic groups, just to bring and use topics that are universal in their approach, and to challenge stereotypes and to challenge thoughts that people have about us as Black people. As I said, I was born in England, so I've had my early exposure to things like racism and all of that stuff. In fact, that's the reason why my parents brought myself and my sister to Barbados to get away from all of that stuff. So I've experienced it from a very early age. And coming to Barbados and then having the opportunity to be in a place where the expectation for me as a Black person was completely different to being a Black person born in England. The expectation back in the 60s was that either you're not going to be too bright, or you're going to be fodder for the prison system. You know, and I like to be very real when I have to talk about these things. And so my parents, very well knowing that I could have the potential to be very at that time, as you probably saw it from a child, to be volatile and pushed. they brought myself and my sister to Barbados for a Barbadian education one, and to be in a place where there are more people who look like me, who can appreciate me for just being who I am. And having that experience, then my work started out first early as being, okay, I just want to sing. I just want to sing just for the love of it. But as I grew older, I saw my work then as being service to my community. And even now in this position, it really is about a service to the Black community. And I have no apologies for saying that, because that is who I am. To the Black community, to begin to get our people to see ourselves not as second-rate citizens or subservient to any others, or that we have to be constantly trying to prove ourselves to the rest of the world, but to be confident in ourselves and the things that we create and the things that we have done and brought to the table, which go unnoticed only because there is this idea that has been put to the rest of the world that we are somehow limited by our slave experience. And so for me, my music now is to give us back our dignity. It's to help restore our families, which were lost during that particular point in time. That's probably why a lot of us in the Caribbean don't want to have these conversations, because they're very uncomfortable, because we've become accustomed to living in a particular way. And some of us believe that this is all we can aspire to, or this is all we should be. And my thing is to heal. My music is to heal, and it is to do it in two ways. One, the person who needs coaxing along, you will coax along. But then the person who needs a good kick in the pants to get them moving, then you have songs to get them to do that. And that is basically how I approach my music.
I hear you. So the second question, in light of time, moving on, you said earlier that part of your decision to get into politics, very correctly, was as you lost your voice, or you could not be singing effectively. Have you ever been asked, or did you ever feel that you need to sell yourself as a quote unquote a politician, not somebody who could not continue with a first profession, but in other words, you're not using politics because you couldn't do your music? How do you deal with that? Have you ever been confronted with it, or has it ever dawned on you?
Every day, Errol. Every day it's a struggle, because as you would know, within the Caribbean, there has always been, and there will always be, until persons like myself come along who will challenge it to the end, till my eyes are closed and my feet are in the grave. This notion that if you are an artist, it means that you're not good at academics, which means that you have nothing more to offer than to dance or to sing or to play a guitar or whatever else. And this has been part and parcel of the miseducation of our people, purposely done by our colonizers to maintain a leverage of divide and rule. It goes right back to the house slave and the field slave mentality. And unfortunately, we have been in the forefront of perpetrating it over and over and over from one generation to the next. And so it is important, like persons like myself, I see myself as being a pioneer in this area, in being able to break that. But it's not easy. But I'll give you a classic example. I was in the early tenure responsible also for sport. But for sports people, what can John King tell me about sports? He's a musician.
There you go.
And so nothing that you say, nothing that you put forward will make any sense to that person. I mean, even today, I still have people who ask me, John, when are you going to come back and sing? Even though I can't, you know. Now, some of it is good-natured, people who genuinely think, but then other people use it as a form of trying to see if they can belittle you. To say, well, you know, singing ain't really a job. It ain't really for people who really, you know, are academically inclined or whatever. Mm-hmm. So where you going to come back and do that? And so I have to be able to balance my responses in sometimes and work out with. Now, I am, again, prior, in my early days, I also was a social worker. I worked at Boys Reformatory School for many years, you know, and I studied at Mona for a little while back in 1989. I guess it was, when all they had at that particular time was a what was it, 6 months or 4 months course in the principles and practice of social work. They didn't have degrees or anything at that particular point in time. So I did all of those things. But when I had the opportunity to go into music full time, I took the opportunity because I said I would never want to live my life wondering what if. And I think I'm smart enough that if I can't make it in the music, then I have something else that I can fall back on. I could always go back and study and do all the other things I wanted to do. And the music went so well, there's no reason for me to go back and try to be anything else other than the musician until I lost my voice. And so you still have this battle with people on island in terms of trying to get them to understand that music is part of what you did, but it's not who you are. And the same thing in the position that I'm in now.
Excellent.
Yes, I'm a minister. I'm a minister of government, but it's something that I do. It is not who I am. The individual, the man himself, you gotta get to learn and to understand who he is in a complete different way. But people like to place a judgment on you and put you into boxes and feel that, you know what, you can only be this. So if he was a musician, I can only see him as a musician as nothing else. But I'm prepared to fight that battle because I always say to people, you have a younger generation coming up, and we must never, ever, ever, I don't care where you are in the Caribbean, allow young people to feel that if they were born into, like myself, poor circumstances, that's where you're supposed to be for the rest of your life, and you cannot aspire to do more, or you cannot aspire to contribute to your country in a complete different way. And so I always say to people, just bring it on. I'm good. I enjoy.
Listen to me. I could talk to you all day. Of course, there are other members to speak to you. But as I close my session here with you, I encourage you with this. As I said, I have recorded music for over 30 odd years. I've worked as a tutor lecturer. I'm an educator, university degree and postgraduate degree. I have worked in finance institute for 23 years. You know, when I recorded my album, one of the big musicians who did most of my tracks, I said to him, I won't call his name. He's my friend,
Yeah.
Steve, and he didn't mean evil. I said, so and so, why do you think I record all of this music? You know what he said to me? You don't buy prostitute, you don't gamble,
Yeah.
and there was a third one he says, and I don't do drugs. So in other words, you're not a real musician. You're just working and you put some of your money into this. And when people see me take my music to their station, I have been met with skepticism, plastic smiles, and they have told me that I am just trying to push myself. Guess what? I have recorded a ton load of music, and I don't care for anybody music, but I will leave it for legacy. And finally, John, have you published your lyrics in a book?
Well, I actually have most of them started out already to do that along with the scores. So that's the next thing that's going to be coming from me.
Let me stop dominating the podcast. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're not dominating, man. You're doing. I want to acknowledge another of our co-hosts, Francine. I can see her in the Zoom room. Francine, unmute your mic, please.
Good morning.
And come on, help me.
I am so sorry I can't turn my camera on this morning, but I have been listening to, I'm on the job, yes. So I've been listening to John King, and he is taking it away. I've also been listening to Mr. Bean, and I am very impressed to say, that at the end of the day, it's when you look at entertainment in general, it's not just the musicians they are having issues with when persons are professionals. They have it right across the board. As long as you're in entertainment and you are a professional, they think something is wrong with that. For those who know me, they know that I love doing my acting and my MC. So I MC programs and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's like when you're on the job and you have that part of you coming out, most persons don't realize that the talent that you have, that hidden talent that a lot of persons don't get a chance to see because they have to be so upright and professional at all the time. These are the little things that actually keep you going, especially in a time like this. You're able to sing to yourself, you're able to crack a joke for yourself, you're able to dramatize a few things for yourself. And these are the things that keep you going. So yes, it's good to have that career behind you. Oh yes, that's so good. But this little part of what you were blessed with, I think it's amazing, the very fact that you are, because I know everybody can sing. That's definitely no. So if you can do recordings of songs and you're able to sit in your office, but yet still I am able to sing, I can go into the studio and record that. You know what great achievement that is when you can tell your upcoming generation that, listen, daddy was a singer, grandfather was a singer. Yes, I may not make it big like maybe some of the known names right across the world, but I have done this, and it's an achievement for you to hold on to. So I'd encourage you, continue singing. If it not make top 10, if it never make top 100, continue singing. It doesn't matter because you are blessed with it. And once you have a talent, use it. Because when you bury a talent, it goes nowhere. So if you're gonna bury it, make sure you water it so it can grow.
Words of wisdom.
Yes.
Of course.
All right, that's it for me. Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, my frontline worker. Francine is on the front line, and we have to give thanks and big up to all the frontline workers this morning, wherever they are across the world. I'm going to call up on Courtney. Courtney, come forward with your question, please.
Yes, Franco. Yes, John King, I see that you were awarded the Barbados Service Medal for recognition for your contribution to Calypso and entertainment. Tell us about this service medal, because I'm not familiar with your honors over there.
Okay, so there are a slew of different honors that you would usually have them for persons who have done as we see human service in various areas. And so I'm sure in Jamaica, you would have them, and they come down in various categories. I don't have the listing in front of me that I can give you the actual things. But the Service Star and the service medal, you'll find that a number of persons who have really been in the forefront of carrying the flag for Barbadian music, not only just to the rest of the world, but also for the statements that probably would have been made within those things, and the contribution that we would have made in terms of, like, not just singing, but I've been very active in terms of going into schools, dealing with kids, not only in Barbados, but abroad, having the opportunity to talk to them about not just music, but about life and about other things. So I got that at that particular point in time, and I'm very proud again of being able to do that. And as Francine said, these are the things that are part of your legacy that you can leave, not only for your direct families, but for persons who, as I mentioned earlier, who will come out of circumstances like yourself, to show that nothing is beyond you. And that once you put in the hard work and you do it from a place of unselfishness, if you see yourself as a part of the community and you're giving of yourself to that community, be it your immediate one, be it the country, be it the region, be it the world, then people will recognize that at some point in time. And you too can move from stage 1 in your life to stage 2 to stage 3 to whatever it is, beyond your wildest dreams. But it really is about, as they say in the arts, putting your heart on your sleeve so everyone can see it.
Yes, and so John, as you were speaking about school, I see in your bio that they say that you're a lodge boy, and it was ludicrous for a lodge boy to become a calypsonian.
Oh,
so, yeah. Explain that to me. Elaborate on it.
Okay, so what's the name of that? You have a school there in Jamaica, man, where all the boys go to. This is a big one. What's
Alpha Boys School.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Kingston College and Jamaica College.
It's Alpha Boys School you're talking. Alpha Boys School.
Right, and there's another one. You always hear the guys boasting about they went to this particular school. But anyway, Lodge School back in the day was that school where, you know, there were about 3 of the major ones would have been Lodge School, Harson's College, Queen's College. They were the 3 big academic schools. So once you go into those schools, the expectation is doctors, lawyers, politicians, engineers. I mean, it goes on. But usually back in that time, doctors, lawyers, and anything else underneath that, you know, was kind of thing. I kind of was one of the first people who made up in my mind very early that I was not interested in any of these things. You know, I don't know if I have the aptitude to be a doctor, because I don't know how good I am. The accidents and emergencies and blood and all these things, it's not me. You know, lawyers, that I probably could do. But my problem is you cannot ask me to go into any situation to defend something that I know is totally wrong. So you can put an X on that for me. It's not even as a professional, it's nothing. I'm not going to do it. So you can talk those things away. But I always found that the educational system, because of the way it was, it limited the scope of what our young people could aspire to. And everyone would say, oh, music, a musician. This was relegated for the people, like I said earlier, who were supposed to be not too bright. Mm-hmm. You know? And I decided, you know what? If that's how people feel about it, that's fine. But I know me, and I know I can make something out of this. This is what I want to do. I'm going against the grain. And I did it, you know? And since doing it, I'm very proud to say that you've had a number of youngsters following in those footsteps, so that we've actually not totally broken that whole concept, but there are a number of people in Barbados who have come through the best schools, quote unquote, the best schools. They're island scholars, they're all sorts, and they are in the arts, not just music, but they are in the arts and they play their trades in the arts. And that has been fabulous. But someone has to be a pioneer. And I saw myself as one of them.
All right, thank you there. Flavius, we're going to bring you in to ask some questions before we conclude this morning podcast. So Flavius, are you hearing me?
I think Flavius looks like if
he's frozen.
There he is.
Yes, he is.
Are you hearing me, Franco?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Yes, John. I see where you have some involvement with Jamaica. So if you could tell us a little about that experience. And I'm seeing where you have done some work with a very good friend of mine, Mike Bennett.
Of course. I'll give you the story. I came to Jamaica in about 1991 with Byron Lee at that time. The carnival was now really beginning to catch hold. And we came there with my band. It was called Signature at that time. And they asked us to back Ed Robinson on a show that we were doing somewhere out in Constant Spring. I remember that well. And everyone was like, okay, a Bajan band can play reggae music, not knowing that all of the major hit songs coming out of Jamaica at that particular point in time, we were playing 7 nights a week in clubs in Barbados. So all of the top reggae songs, all of the top R&B songs, all of the top ballads, everything, we had to play them because you're talking in a tourist area and you got diverse tastes and diverse people coming in. So this was a normal occurrence for us. And the one thing that I always say to people is that I pay exceptional detail. So if I'm going to play reggae, I break it down to its minutest stage to understand how do you deliver tone, rhythm, timing, whatever to get, and you study the best. You don't study the worst, you study the best. And so therefore, when they asked us to play, I remember it like it was yesterday. My drummer was a little bit, he's like, man, King, man, you think, man, we could play reggae in Jamaica, man, with this blah, blah, blah. I say, listen, man, music is music. Let's do this thing. And so we did it. We played behind Ed Robinson at the time. Mikey and some other people were there. And actually, people were coming up on the stage looking for sequencers because they thought that we had sequenced the music. But there's no sequencers. We played it. We have to play every possible. This is what we do for a living on a regular basis. And that is where we started our relationship with Mikey Bennett. We actually came back then, and when Irie FM was opening, we were the only non-Jamaican persons who were invited to Jamaica to play at the opening of Irie FM station. And we came back also for Reggae Sunsplash. And we played on the Caribbean night on that also. So that started a long relationship between myself and Mikey Bennett, who then produced some songs for the band. We came over and we did some work with him in the studio. And that opened me up to having a sort of relationship with a lot more of the Jamaican artists who were coming through the studio at that time. And these are relationships that even up to today that we still have. And you're talking about a time when we were like 20, 27, 28, you know, the early days. So, and it's been fantastic. You know, I've gone with Mikey. I did an album with Mikey, actually, which was an album that I actually came just to help him to write songs. And I did the vocal tracks 40 songs and everything with it. And then we had this producer coming in from California. And then when the guy heard the tracks, he said, but who's this? Who's this man that's singing these songs? You're telling me you want me to give these songs to other artists, but who's this guy who sang the songs? And I had the opportunity, you know, at 30 plus years, probably around 32, to actually do this one-off album with Mesa Blue Moon. And Mikey can tell you about, we've been friends for so many. In fact, he was here about a couple of weeks ago. So we've maintained that kind of a friendship. And I've shared the stage with many Jamaican artists. I remember for many years, I used to be a staple at the Bahamas Music Festival. And so we shared the stage with from Third World to I mean, you just name them from many, many years. So, yeah, but I have never been one of those artists who always wants to be like in the limelight. You know, my mindset has always been, if you put me on stage with Bob Marley, I have to open for Bob. He has to go to work because it's not going to be easy. It's not that's the kind of person I am. You know, you don't have to know about me, but you will know who I am after I'm finished. And that has always been the kind of person that I am.
Beautiful. Can I interject just a bit? Just 1 second, please. I heard you talking about you sharing the stage with so many Jamaicans and stuff like that. So it means then you have to adapt a few things from us. Now, I want to know if you can dance. That's the only question I want to know.
Francine, let me tell you, you're probably be going to laugh your head off. When I started to sing, right? I started to sing at 18 years old.
Right.
No one knew that I could sing. They knew me as a break dancer, not a singer. So I started out as a break dancer. These guys that would go to parties and, you know, do all the spinning on your head and all this kind of stuff. That's where I started, as a dancer, not a singer. So that when I started to sing, people were like, you've got to be kidding me, man. This guy can sing. I never hear him sing in my life. I know him as a dancer. So even now, you know, people the people who grew up with me knowing me as a dancer, they always laugh, and they always, even now, they're still telling people, man, you don't know John King, you know, this man could dance. You know, so yes, very much dance. Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
So I guess in the future we need to get a video of you doing some of those break dances.
Oh gosh, I'll tell you something. You'd have to have doctors on the standby. You have to have Benji Balsam and all these other things to rub me down. Back in those days when I was dancing, we didn't have the videos and telephones that you could snap these pictures and things. So those things would be in my head.
All right. Thank you very much, John.
Keep them as memories.
Yeah.
Of course.
Thank you very much. We now come to the end. So I want to see if I can ask Francine if she want to do the summary for us this morning, since she's the only female in the room with us.
Oh Lord, it was so much of a pleasure to hear men talking and listening and just lambing. So I was actually wanting to sit and listen. However, I had to get Mr. King to admit to a few stuff, which he did, you know. So, I mean, it was nice chatting with you once again. It's a beautiful morning, you know, and it was an excellent podcast. Feel free to come on board with us anytime at all, Mr. King. And it's a pleasure. And I know that you're going to be coming on once again. So thanks again. And for those who are listening, thank you so much for joining in the chat room. For all the podcast team members, as always, we are happy to have each and every one. You know, thanks again. Thanks, and stay safe.
Of course.
All right.
Well, let me just thank you guys for having me on. This has been an honor and a pleasure for me, and I always want to say this whenever I get the chance to. We as the Caribbean, we've got a lot of work to do in terms of getting to know who we are as a people. We're not just Jamaicans or Bajans or Antiguans or Trinidadians or St. Lucians. We are the Caribbean. And I always say to people, one of my greatest experiences in being in music is being able to have friends across the islands and who are dear and near to my heart. And so I thank you guys and I welcome you into my fold. I will see you now as part of that Caribbean family. Thank you.
Thank you.
One
Thank you.
love.
One
Thank you
Caribbean,
very much.
one
Thank you.
people.
Thank
One
you.
Caribbean, one people. And with
Of
that,
course.
I know this young lady, I still call her, she's still in the music business. She will be coming to Miami on October 10th to do an event they call Best of the Best. Her name is Alice Nines. So I'm going to play the
Yes.
song with John King and Alice Nines. And
Oh, yeah.
then- and then we're going to get out of here. So here it goes.
You touch me with a smile. My life turned upside down. I had to write a song. Hey, and hope that it would bring our lonely lives together.
I'm tired of romance. I've hurt too many times to take another chance. If I trust you with my heart, will you hold it close forever? Never.
Don't turn away.
I don't think I can make someone help me.
I want you to
I
stay.
don't know if I'm strong enough to get away.
Into my eyes.
Can't believe I'm falling.
Seems to me that we belong. Tonight, I just need to hold you in a song.
Yeah.
Stay with me tonight. Help me write my song. Everything will be alright. Hey, take me by the hand. We can reach the stars together.
It isn't hard to see. You're not like lovers past. You are so kind to me. As you dry my tears, I can feel it's now or never.
Never,
Never,
never. Don't turn away.
I don't think I can make someone help
Yes, they sing so beautiful. Don't you all agree?
Oh yeah, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. King. It's a pleasure, having you this morning. And as Francine said, we look forward to having you again.
Yeah, anytime. And thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed it. And to all of your listeners, I would just like to say to them, stay tuned to the Real Stuff podcast. You're doing a good job. Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone.
Next time you come and tell us about, crop over and all those achievements.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And
Wonderful.
and we can look forward also to talking about some of the connections between Jamaica and Barbados that people don't get the opportunity to talk a lot about, especially especially when we are living in different parts of the world.
And especially you need to share what is it that you use to have your voice sounding so melodious. So is it the sugar? Is it the honey? You need to share that secret with us as well.
Practice, and not too much talking. For many years, I would not do a lot of talking during the day because I had to work at night. So I do all of my singing in the night, and when I come home, you would not see me out on the road. You would not see me anywhere else. It's rest, it's rehearsals, and back to work. And it's about discipline, because your voice box has, if it's got this length, that's it. So if you're singing at night and you're doing 2 sets, 3 sets, whatever it is you're doing, and then you're in the daytime, you're still talking with your friends, and you're talking here and you're talking there, problems. So it's discipline.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Okay.
In closing, live and love every moment of your life. Be grateful for each new day. Cherish your family and friends. Bless others. Keep the faith. Never lose hope. And remember, prayer changes things. Regardless of what religion you belong to, you must pray and continue to pray. On behalf of my podcasting team, Francine, Maxwanette, Flavius, Courtney, Errol, and myself, have a joyful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on your time zone. So now I'm going to ask Queen Lubafo to say the Our Father in the language of the Garifuna, and then Tafina with Tekwa myself to take us out of here. So have a pleasant day, every one of you, and stay safe.
You lead us to full. You belong far away away. Ajugwala lebobu seru. Lida mua, lida sungfula. Lida mua, lida sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know what set me if it could flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
Take away myself. I fi take away myself. I have to utilize I will. Shorty,